The issue of mental health continues to attract urgent attention in Nigeria in the face of the worsening societal and economic pressures. A report published sometime in 2021 stated that Nigeria, the 7th largest country in the world, had Africa's highest caseload of depression and then ranked 15th in the world for the frequency of suicide. As at then, there were less than 150 psychiatrists in the country, or 200 million people, with fewer than 10% of mentally ill Nigerians having access to the care they need. For a conversation around all of that, we're now being joined here by Esther Akinola, a certified psychologist and team lead psychologist at Great Insight here in Lagos. And we shall look at what variables there are at the moment, what progress has been made, causative factors, personal care and therapy, and a lot more. Good morning, Esther. Good to have you join us in the studio.
It's so awesome to be here. Awesome to be here.
All right, thanks. I mean, a couple of months ago, I think around October the 10th, when the war celebrated, was it the mental?
Yes, the World Mental Health Day.
Mental Health Day,
October
exactly.
10th, very correct.
This same issue cropped up here.
Okay.
And we had, different guests to shed light.
Right.
Between then and now, do you think that awareness has grown? And will you identify areas of progress in terms of reducing the burden and the challenges of mental health in Nigeria? Okay,
that's a very vital question, because in Nigeria, I think the conversation is not hard enough. Between October till now, January, is about roughly for 3 months, thereabout. Yeah. And I don't think we speak enough about it. I don't think we are bold enough about it. The stigma still ensues. In the workplace, generally, you find a lot of people trying to push the conversation. But the moment a colleague is telling a line manager, I want to go for my appointment to see a therapist. In fact, most of my clients would rather say I have a dentist appointment, even though they are indeed coming to see their therapist, just so they are not stigmatized, just so they don't see them as not good enough for the roles that they are playing in their place of work. So they always tend to want to shy away from the conversation. And yes, so in Africa generally, I usually tell my audience, I tell them that, you see, in the cultural environment we find ourselves, you find that when a couple is about to get married, right? One of the questions is, do you have any illness in your family line? And mental illness is one of those conversations. Yeah. And immediately you say, I've been sad 1 or 2 times and I've been admitted in a facility. You tend to find a lot of people say, you cannot marry into our family. When indeed it is just saying that we have diabetes in the family. So if it can be treated, it means any other mental illness also can be treated. So the conversation is not had well enough. And people are not embracing it as much as we would think, right? They think, everybody is saying, my mental health, but it's just the surface, it's just very around. Nobody's actually diving into it to accept what it really means. And I'm really hoping I can use this platform to break the understanding of what mental health is.
Please do. Right. Please do break it down for us.
So you find that mental health is basically your physical health. Just how you will say, I have malaria and I need to go to the doctors. Every other person has an emotion: sadness, happiness, anger, disgust, jealousy. Anxiety. We all have it. Like you would get ₦1 million for a gift and you go, yeah. So also you get a headache. It's a symptom, it's a sign that you have emotions, you have something going through your mind, right? And also, so it streamlines into mental illness. When you have a mental health, you have physical health, just general emotions. When it comes to general mental illness, you find that this is a situation where your emotions are becoming excessive and you do not know how to manage it. Just like you have too much sugar and you do not know how to manage it. Or just like you have the parasite for malaria in your body and you need to get it out of your system. So also the thoughts of the mind, it becomes a lot and you do not know, how am I feeling these big feelings? What should I do with them? In fact, I had a particular client recently who for the first time experienced PTSD. That's post-traumatic stress disorder. He was in a horrible accident with his children. And he said, I've never felt this way. I've never been this anxious about something. And I said, you've always felt this way. You just needed something to push it forward. So also emotions generally. You've always felt sad, but you just needed one major issue to happen for you to feel it really. Exactly. So for instance, you get an email and you get very anxious. You've always been anxious. When you wanted to check that result in secondary school, when you wanted to check that result in the uni and you are hoping you do not fail that course. But something really dramatic or traumatic needed to happen for you to see, oh, this is something I really experienced. This is something that happens to me also. A couple of months back, I found that I lost my brother, and I never experienced grief that much. I never knew what it meant. And then it started showing up at work. I started getting angry at things that I shouldn't be angry at. And I'm like, okay, you just heard a very bad information. This could be causing it. And so also a lot of Nigerians, a lot. I was with a friend in his car. We were going to work and we saw the Nigerian police. And then it got really angry. It was not, throwing things angry, but it was upset. I was like, do you know you might have a traumatic experience tied to this uniform? That is why you are feeling this way. And so also little things, very little things. You see the color red. You see maybe a meal you used to hate as a child, and then you just see somebody is offering you, and you are experiencing emotions that I thought, where is this coming from? I didn't used to feel like this. So that is what mental illness, that is where it comes in. From the general emotions you normally would feel to the point when they become excessive and you cannot manage them. And that's where I come in.
So one thing I hear from you is also being able to identify triggers. But first of all, I also wanted to say, sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank
you. And it's directly related to this question. About 3 days ago, a woman by the name of Amarachi Ugochukwu, an employee of a bank somewhere in Ikorodu, Lagos, actually committed suicide in her work premises. And, she had attributed it to the fact that there was a lot of social and economic pressure that she was under. Now, I want to ask you, as a certified psychologist, how can you begin to, understand and identify those triggers and to get to a space where you now feel comfortable enough to share it? Because we don't have that culture in Nigeria for some reason, and even in other African countries, where we feel the need to get mental help. Also, in the light of us not even having enough psychologists to attend to, the 200 million plus population that we currently have.
Okay, so I feel like we should start from a step at a time. Those who can access it right now and those who can get the information should do well to pass it down. That's where I want to start from. So for instance, I'm well informed about mental health. When I get back home, my family is educated, but not as educated enough to understand what their emotions is and what it curtails. Or my nephews and my nieces, where I'm informing them, these are big feelings, this is what you should do with them. Also passing down that information. So even peradventure in a case where they cannot access mental health care, they do know what they are facing and they're able to identify. So for instance, my caregiver is, I can see visibly on her face that she's upset, but because I'm her boss, she can't, communicate it to me. I'm like, okay, so you need to know that you're angry. And that's okay. It can lead to this. Even if you cannot speak to a therapist, I want you to know when these emotions are coming into face. So starting there, you having that information and passing it down the best that you can. Now, so for you who would, I do not know if I'm having a mental illness, but these are things I've been feeling. These are thoughts I've been having. And still on the conversation of suicidal ideations and committing suicide in itself, you'll find a lot of symptoms are very visible, but we do not know that this is what is the underlying cause. So you find that you're thinking constantly of putting yourself in situations that can harm you. So you're not thinking, oh, I should go and obtain this substance. Of course, you're not going that far. You're thinking you're in the moving vehicle. Let me just drive into the, face of this trailer. Or let me just open this door as I'm coming out of, or while on motion. Little things like you are going online to check what is something I can do that will not harm me too much, but will cause me to lose my life. Or you're thinking of harming somebody else. Or, as little as thinking if someone telling you, if I do die, give this to my children or take care of this. Those are the little things to look out for. And then there's this very important one. You find them very negatively minded. They never say anything positive about life. When it's sunny out there, you're saying, oh, what a wonderful day to wash my clothes. They are thinking, what's so good about the sun? Right? They are thinking hopeless. There's nothing good that can ever come out of this world. There's nothing good for me. Those are things that you want to watch out for. Those are things that you want to be careful around them with. And then they never are in a sad or happy place. That's a mistake a lot of people make. People who are suicidal or people who are depressed should be very sad. But the truth is they are the best at masking their pain. They always come out smiling and saying, oh, I'm fine, it's good morning, it's great, and we're doing well. But the truth is, in their statements, in their mannerism, even in their hygiene, you find that someone loves to take good care of themselves, and all of a sudden they just look the other way. They don't want to bathe, they don't want to make efforts. I had a client who would come in, and for 2 weeks after losing her dad, she had not bathed, brushed, or anything, and she showed up at work.
Wow.
She had not brushed. So I was wondering, how are you communicating with people? But the truth is, in the little things, you notice that this person used to do this before. And yeah, so those are little signs that you want to look out for.
Thank you for helping us identify the signs of suicide.
Yeah.
The lady that, Sheita mentioned earlier, she had cited, economic hardship. I mean, there were reports that, you cannot really attribute that suicide note to her because some people were saying it's not her writing or not. But I mean, that was the conversation out there. So I'd like for you to help us understand the driving factors of suicide. For example, now, she's talking about economy, you're talking about mental health. I'd like for you to, find a way to juxtapose that or make the difference between those two forms of depression.
Okay, so the factors vary so much. It varies so much, but I can't help but draw it down to our environment here in Nigeria as Africans. Let's be honest. During the, permit me to be as broad as possible, during the Nigerian election, there were so many emotions running high. Everyone were hoping for this party to win, for this candidate to win. And even in that environment, we noticed, especially in my workplace where I have to serve, we found that a lot of people were influx of numbers of people coming into therapy to have the conversation of how hurt they were, that it didn't go their way. So something as little as that, the economical, the political environment could also drive it. And I cited an example of having a conversation with a friend who experienced or who came in contact with a police officer, right? And as little as that, as little as your car going bad and you not having the money to pay for it, or going to the market and the detergent you bought for 1,000 naira is now 2,000 naira. As little as that, sitting in traffic, hoping that I'm going to get to that place for 10 a.m. and you have to sit and get there for 3 p.m. That could get you to a place where.
But as a psychologist, and
yes,
you're a therapist as well. What are you seeing now? What is the rate now? Are you seeing more people coming to you for therapy because of the economy. Or are you seeing more people coming to you based on their mental health issues?
Yes. They are coming in because of, more people are coming in because of the economy, right? More people are coming in because they can't meet their bills. More people are coming in because their kids have to stay back in school, right? More people are also coming in because they can't, funny enough, find a job. So in as much as therapy is, that place where people might not be able to afford it, some of their spouses can. So they can access the service. And they're saying, you know what, the fact that I can't provide this lifestyle that I usually would be able to provide for my partner is no longer available to me. So it is there very strongly so. And the people come in also with the burden of their extended family. My brother finished school this year ago and can't get a job, or he can't stay in school because he's abusing substances, right? You find that a lot of people are, experiencing a lot of these things. But I do not want to tie it down alone to economic factors. There are other things like genetics. Some people are prone to substance misuse because their parents, used also, and then it's passed down to them, and other factors that present itself. But we cannot, you cannot totally take away from the fact that the leading factor is not necessarily the economic factor, but also the fact that people are genuinely mentally ill and they need to accept it for what it is and not say, oh, if this is provided to me alone, I'll be fine, right? Some people actually have a biological disposition to be mentally ill.
There's so many things playing in my head, Okay. I hope that is not suggestive of anything. First part will be the hunger, anger, and mental health. An hungry man is an angry man, and therefore it could be predisposed to mental issues. Is that part of what you're saying? Very.
Very true. An example is Lagos State.
I was going. That was where I was coming. Like, you know what they say about our lovely, beautiful city.
Yes.
If you say that this city, you know, everybody is kind of. But then this is also one of the happiest cities in the world.
Yes.
One of the most prayerful cities in the world. Like the report that, you know, Oji had the other day. All those vagaries, you know, madness, beauty, happiness. Isn't that what life is all about?
Really, it is. It's in the little things. It's in the little things. Even as little as Jos, comparison to Lagos. And when I'm using that because of the weather. In Jos, it's pretty cold. It's not as hot as it is. And when you leave that city, when you go to that city, it is cooler. Everyone is taking their time. It determines a lot of things for them. In Lagos State, it is hotter. So there's a lot of aggression.
It's faster.
It's faster. So it does influence your emotions and your mood. It really does. In fact, if you are hungry and you're about to make a decision, there's tendency for you to make the wrong one because your hormones and some neurotransmitters are heightened at that point. So you need to be relaxed. In fact, they say the best time to talk to a woman is in the evening when she's quieter, she's had a long day, but she's, you know, in a calmer state, rather than when she's about to start a day or in the middle of a day. So you find that it's in the little things, in the little things. So when you eat a little, and then you feel like I'm satisfied, especially when you eat something you like.
Yeah.
And somebody comes to say, okay, can I get a loan from you? You're in a better place to say, I'll think about it or I'll give it to you. But when you're hungry and, you know, you're hot, everywhere, there's no cool environment for you, there's a tendency for you to be more snappy.
Very quickly, Esther, because we're running out of time, I would like your thoughts on the lingering issue of the Nigerian lawmakers at the federal level trying to criminalize suicide. Almost at the same time that Egypt is considering it. If Nigeria and Egypt, you know, go that route, we'll be joining about 20 other countries of the world where suicide is criminalized. But there's a huge movement globally, you know, saying that suicide is not a crime. Deal with the victims, you know, assist the victims.
Yeah. So if we criminalize suicide in Nigeria, it is almost you saying that you do not have the right to your mental state, your mental health. That's literally what you're saying. You're saying that I do not have the choice to consider my ability to choose. Yeah. You're taking that away from them. You're taking their voice away. I think we should increase or put more weight on our solutions. Right? So rather than think of punishing you for something that cannot be prevented, why not say, before we even get to that state at all, let's do something about it. And there are so many things that we can do that is affordable, right? You don't have to break the bank. Providing a social connection for families that need, that are showing the signs already, right? Including children. Children are suicidal also, and you are able to put that information in schools. You are able to put that information on the billboards. Let's put the information out there. Let them know that this is something we can do. This is how we can get out of it, rather than criminalizing it. I think it would only increase it rather than decrease it. Yeah.
Well, like we said earlier, less than 10% of Nigerians get the help that they need. How can people find you?
Okay, so I represent an organization here in Nigeria, Grey Insights. We are an employee assistance program, but we also provide various other, you know, services, including student wellness program. So we are an organization that is for mental health proactiveness as much as we can. And how we do that is, you know, we provide very affordable, and I mean very, compared to a lot of other establishments here in Nigeria, very affordable mental health care. My organization is so inclined to providing the services that before we say, okay, this is your bill, we provide the service first, right? So you can find us in Ikeja at Okpebi, and you can also find us in Ikoyi, around Awolowo Way at Falomo here. And we are just a toll-free number away. That's how important we take this seriously. We have a toll-free number away, 080-100 Grey Insights, and then you can get to us.
Just out of curiosity, very, very quickly, the folks that came to you because of their disappointment over the last election, how were you able to help them? Did you just tell them wait for 2027?
Steve, you are getting free
You have to
therapy
pay to find out the tricks of it.
Well, hope is usually the bestseller, and faith.
Renewed hope?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I did not know when I jumped into that, but just
what
hoping for
we
the
have,
future.
that's
Yeah.
all we have, hope. We keep hope alive, we'll continue to lead.
Absolutely.
Well, would like to thank you very much, Esther.
Thank you so
joining
much
us
for
on the
having
program
me.
this
Thank you
morning.
so much for having
Well,
me.
all right.